Hi everyone, and welcome to the senior finals for the GreatTalk 2025 competition. I'm Sarissa,
I'm Lucas.
and today we have with us senior Silver and senior Teal. So, congrats to the teams for making it to the finals. And we're debating the motion this House would arm teachers in the United States with senior Silver on affirming and senior Teal on negating. Does anyone have any questions? No. Okay, just a reminder that speech times are 5 minutes, and we'll give you a clap at 1 minute, 1 minute, and a clap at 4 minutes. And at 5 minutes, we'll give you two claps to signal that you have 15 seconds to round off your speech. If there are no questions, I am very happy to invite up the first speaker of the affirmative team to start today's debate.
So I will open this debate by defining the motion. To arm teachers means educators are allowed to carry firearms, which are safely secured, meaning that no students would have access to any of the weapons on school premises, strictly for protection against active shooter threats. In this debate, our team will be talking about three main points: student safety, deterrence, and a safer environment. Now I will start my speech. Shootings occur very often in the US, so teachers in the US should be allowed to carry firearms within the school to ensure the safety of their students. By allowing teachers to carry firearms, it can prevent events such as school shootings. If all the teachers, or at least half of them, has one gun, there would be 40 to 60 guns available in the school for emergency, so that school shooters will have to think before entering the school. In the unlikely event that school shooters do enter the school, the ratio between the guns carried by the teachers and the shooters would be 3 to 1, meaning that every shooter will have three teachers, which can prevent any student deaths or injuries. Since people in the US are already legally allowed to wield guns, teachers, more than anyone, should be allowed to wield the weapons. Allowing teachers to wield firearms would also give parents a safer feeling sending their children to schools. In our definition of the motion, the guns will be kept safely and securely so that no students will have access to the weapons. Teachers having guns also give students a better and safer learning environment, allowing students to concentrate better in. That's the end of my speech. Our second speaker would expand on the importance and benefits of having a better, safer learning environment. Thank you.
Thank you for the excellent question, and would now like to invite up the third debating speaker to continue the debate.
The affirmative team said that carrying firearms so that teachers can protect their students. However, in the United States, there are not many massive shootings, and teachers who have guns can also create threats for the students. It's not how teachers can protect students from outside, like bad people shooting them, but what if teacher can't control their emotions and they might shoot someone? And what if they don't know how to use a gun properly? And and um and so many people who can't access to gun will definitely cause society chaos. And there are always possibility for gun that's going to be broke. This this house wouldn't arm the teachers in the United States. So I'm going to talk about the economy aspects and the teachers' impressions. My second speaker are going to talk about different roles in the society. Different like police should protect the safety, not the teacher, and the teacher should um so now I'm going to talk about the economy aspects. It's going to be really time consuming to train teachers. The teacher are not teaching. The school are paying the teacher to learn how to use a gun, and rather than teaching. And the main job for the teacher is to teach, not to know how to use a gun. And there are going to be so many money spent for guns and for trainings. And for like the upper classes, like the government provide money to the schools, and what if the people will corrupt the money? So the teacher won't have the so the money won't go to like training for the teachers, and the teachers will not know how to use a gun. So it will cause really dangerous hazard for the students and for the whole society. So there's always possibility. Sorry. So now I'm going to talk about teachers' emotion. So teacher, they are also humans. They have emotions. So what if they can't control themselves? Like if they got really mad by like a student and the save lock isn't working. I mean, there are so many schools, so many teachers in the whole United States. There are always possibility for some like it might break. It's not it might break, and so it will so there will be possibility the teacher might shoot someone even in the best circumstances. Even in the best circumstance, even in the best circumstances, the teacher they are all like really raw emotions, but there are always possibility if the gun go to someone else outside of the school. I mean, people and people connection, they are really uncomfortable, like not really predictable. Okay, normally, there are going to be high standards, and not many people will have the access to the gun. But what if so many teachers and there are so many schools and there are so many teachers who has the guns, which means there are more people can access to the guns, and it will definitely cause society chaos. Yes, society chaos. So this house wouldn't proceed.
Okay, excellent speech. And we'd now like to invite up the second affirmative speaker to continue today's meeting.
As the second speaker of the affirmative team, I would like to start off with some rebuttal. The first negating team has stated that all teachers could lose their emotions and therefore engage on students. But we do not induce reckless arming as stated when the first affirmative speaker defined the motion. Only volunteers who pass psychological screenings, comprehensive firearm training, and adhere to strict protocols will be armed. This reduces risks dramatically. Evidence states like Texas and Utah, where armed educators are regulated, shows accidental shootings or misuse are extremely rare. Critics may claim that it burdens teachers unfairly or increases stress, but participation will be voluntary, and armed teachers will receive their weapons through support and training. They will not carry their guns as a distraction, but as a sole responsibility. The first speaker has also stated that the teachers may be the teachers may go off at a student and start attacking them, and that they should not arm the students, arm the teachers. But this heavily goes against many different beliefs. As the first negating team has also stated, not many massive shootings go on in the US. This is completely false. As in the US, over 80% of the school shootings actually involve over 200 or more deaths. And you know what isn't good about this? It's the children's lives that they're neglecting. It's the families that these children won't that these the families that will know that their children won't come home that day. And the first speaker has also of the negative team has said that allowing teachers to wield guns will make society chaotic. However, society can be worse, having a lot of school shootings. And they have also said that the government would have to fund the teachers for their guns. This is untrue, as the teachers can bring their own personal firearms because they would want to live as well in a school shooting. Now I'd like to start off with my points. By reinforcing safer learning environments, we reduce the psychological and social toll that these teachers take on. Uh, and the social toll that shootings and threats impose on young people today. The opposition downplays this impact at their peril. Safe schools foster healthy communities and brighter futures, which is why we should actually let the teachers have guns. How this will take place is simple but critical. When an active shooter arrives, every second counts. The FBI reports the FBI reports that police take 5 to 7 minutes to arrive, but shootings can unfold rapidly, often within minutes or less. This means that waiting for law enforcement leaves students helpless. Arming trained teachers fills this deadly gap by creating an instant defense force inside of the school. The impact of this is significant. Immediate response reduces casualties by stopping shooters before they kill more people. It saves families from unimaginable grief and trauma. Schools become safer and reducing the anxiety and fear that plague students and teachers. In conclusion, the safer learning environment is not just about the protection, but about restoring the foundation of education itself. For these reasons, this point decisively outweighs the opposition's claims, and therefore this House believes that we should arm teachers in the United States.
I thank the speech and would now like to invite up the second negating speaker to continue today's debate.
This House would not arm teachers in schools in America with guns. First, I would like to acknowledge that the second speaker from the affirming team have used statistics, and this is not allowed during debates. Now I would like to move on to my points. Firstly, different jobs exist for a reason, and each profession has its own roles. Teachers are trained to educate and help students, not to shoot. Doctors are trained to save lives, not take them. Scientists are trained to innovate and create new technology for us to use, not to carry weapons. And police are trained and legally empowered to control dangerous situations and protect the society. Therefore, they are armed. When we change these jobs, it disrupts our society, and if we expect teachers to be armed, we strip them from their focus, which is education. And that's not education anymore. They're spending most of their time learning how to activate a gun and how to shoot if a shooter comes in. America's safety record is appealing. Mass shootings happen not just in schools, but it can also happen in hospitals and restaurants and supermarkets. If we want to justify arming teachers for protection, then why shouldn't we arm doctors and restaurant owners and also cashiers? Shouldn't we give rifles to cashiers so that they can protect their customers? Shouldn't we give doctors guns so that they can protect their patients when a shooter arrives? And this is exactly why this policy sets a dangerous precedent. Therefore, this House believes that we should not arm teachers in America with guns. Thank you.
We thank the speaker for the excellent speech and would now like to invite up the third negating speaker to continue today.
Firstly, I'll be rebutting against the negating team's points and then moving on to some of our main points of clash. So the first negating speaker talked about how increased accidents due to mishandling the dangerous weapons. Well, no one expects the government to immediately enforce the teachers to wield or use a gun or firearm, and they obviously must undergo proper training first. These criminals don't follow, well, criminals who are part of the school shootings don't follow rules or gun policies. So by having teachers on campus armed, we can prevent any death until police arrival. Compare these two scenarios. A school shooting breaks out, the teachers don't have weapons. How many students will die before the police arrive? Well, what about now when the teachers are armed? This time, when a school shooting occurs, teachers can easily protect the students and preventing any deaths until the arrival of police. No action in even the first few minutes can cost many of the students' lives, but our idea can solve this issue. The first negating also talked about how training and time and like money restraints while police and security also train, teachers can also receive similar training for these school-related situations. Training could also be incorporated into breaks/holidays, making it less time-consuming and more practical. There's also much more realistic than expecting police to be on site instantly or every time during any school incident or shooting. She also said that lots of money will be wasted on these training programs or procedures. Well, how is money spent for saving lives count as money wasted? We're protecting these students who are the future of the country. And in these real world situations, armed defense is the best and most effective strategy. The second negating also talked about how teachers, they're educators, and they shouldn't be armed security guards. Well, teachers already protect students in many different forms, for example, lockdowns or fire drills and other emergency like medical situations. By having them armed is just another form of protection and security. And in reality, teachers are already protecting the students. Arming them just gives them the tools for doing this better and more efficient. And just because they're teachers doesn't mean they are unable to wield a gun at the same time. And like our first speaker said, many people in the US are already legally allowed to wield weapons, so why can't the teachers do so too? I'll be moving on to two more main points of clash that we've found. So firstly is around student safety. The affirming said that teachers ensure safety by allowing an immediate response before the arrival of any police, reducing the risk of any casualties greatly. And the negating team stated that teachers can be overwhelmed with emotion during these crises and that mishaps could occur leading to student harm. Well, the negating team only relies on worst case scenarios and assumptions that can be easily prevented with our measures. And these incidents could only happen in very rare scenarios, which is completely unrealistic. And two was the meaning of ideas and teachers. Well, our affirming team said that teachers aren't forced to wield guns and firearms, and it's purely voluntary. And having guns is simply just another form of student protection. So why can't we let teachers to be in possession of firearms if it's already legal in the US? And the negating team stated that, well, teachers are teachers, and that wielding a weapon could cause extra stress or mental toll on the teacher, which can lead to incidents harming the students. So overall, our plan is much more realistic and clear, while the negating team's points only rely on what ifs. Our point gives this solution on how to prevent these deaths and save lives, all while making sure that no issues will happen between the students and the teachers. Therefore, this house believes that we should arm teachers in the US.
And would now like to invite up the third negating student to close off the substantive portion of today's meeting.
As the third speaker of the negating team, first I would like to provide some rebuttal to the affirming team. So the affirming team has stated that armed teachers will greatly prevent student deaths from mass shootings. However, it is unrealistic to think of a situation like that when you refuse to understand how much money and effort is going to be put into making this happen. The affirming team has stated that there will be around 40 to 60 guns implemented in each schools. So how much will each gun cost? And how much money will be put in place to train these teachers? For 40 to 60 guns, we would expect around 40 to 60 teachers to be handling with these guns. And that will cost a lot of money. The affirming team has failed to rebut about our economical point. Secondly, I would like to say that the affirming team has stated that they are asking only volunteers who pass psychological tests will be armed. However, in their situation, they're expecting in a school in a school which there probably is only around 60 to 80 teachers, they're expecting way more than half to be volunteers to be holding guns and to be and to be and to pass psychological tests. This is unrealistic because there won't be that many people who are willing to hold guns to pay this political and political responsibility to protect students. There will not be that many volunteers. I would also like to say that they would like to put the training in the holidays. However, the holidays don't occur that frequently, and there are also short periods of time. If we only put these trainings in the holidays, after 3 weeks of training, you have another 10 weeks that you have to forget about these skills. I would also like to say that teachers have holidays for a reason, and it's for them to go on holiday. And so, how many people will actually still be in the country prepared to work for another 3 weeks instead of going in holiday? I would also like to say that holidays are also used for teachers to mark exams. So, hence, in order to implement these gun arrangements around school campuses, it would require many teachers to give up their time on holidays and put their pressure on put the main point on learning how to use a gun rather than teaching, which is just unrealistic as teachers. So they have said that I would also like to say that training how to use a gun for polices take years and years. How long are we going to train these teachers for? And how much money, I would like to say again, will be used to train these teachers in order to make all the teachers understand how to use their guns and make the best use of it. They also the affirming team also refused to accept that there is a very good possibility that guns may break down. In their scenario, they will have 40 to 60 guns in one school. However, this is just increasing the chances of guns to break down. In a single campus, there is 60 guns possibility that the gun, for example, the safety lock breaks down. If I was a teacher and I wanted to test it out and I accidentally pointed the gun at a student and the safety lock wasn't on, what are the consequences of that? Hence why the moot shall fall. Thank you.
Thank you for the excellent speech, and would now like to invite up the negating readers reply to conclude their team's case.
So now I would like to restate our points. This house wouldn't arm the teachers in the United States. First, each jobs in the society has different roles. They are existing for a reason. Teachers should teach and police should care about safety. And each roles have their different jobs. Also as well as we are the status quo. Yes. Okay, second point. Arming and having guns for so many teachers, arming and having guns and train so many teachers how to use guns, and so many people will have access to guns, it will definitely creating society chaos. And such is our economy aspect. Long-time training and paying them, they are paying them to arm, not to teaching, and so and it will cost so much time and money. So fourth is that what if the teacher accidentally shoots someone, and that is our four main point. Therefore, this house wouldn't arm the teachers from the United States.
speaker for the excellent reply, and would now like to invite up the staff reply to conclude today.
The negating team has the third speaker of the negating team has said that we have not rebutted to the point on the economic cost. But we have actually said this. The third speaker of the affirming team has actually already said this. And the money is not a problem when children's lives are at risk. There is no cost to a body of a child whose parents have to come to the morgue and identify their body and actually have to suffer through all the trauma that this will incur. And so we have clearly won this point because uh, the human body does not have a price, and that the government should, in fact, spend money on arming the teachers so that the children can actually go home. The the negating team has also stated that that the teachers can that the teachers' guns can be unsafe, but how will they the teachers the third speaker the third speaker of the affirmative team has already talked about the gun safety, and they said that and the negating team has said that if the teacher points a gun and pulls the trigger at a student, it could go up. But here is my rebuttal to that. How in the right mind, why would you point a gun at a student? Well, just why? Again, the affirming team is only bringing up the worst case scenario, and therefore we have won those points. Now let's start by weighing the core clash. Our team has presented a life-saving solution of carefully arming the selected trained teachers and providing an immediate defense inside a school where even seconds matter. The opposition offers idealistic arguments about risks, fears, and root causes, but these do not outweigh the real and urgent need to protect children. The opposition also insists we must solely focus on the root of gun violence. We wholeheartedly agree that long-term reforms are necessary, but the opposition fails to realize that these take years to implement. Meanwhile, children face immediate, life-threatening dangers in a school shooting, and we must arm teachers to actually protect them. And it is not a replacement for a root cause solution, but a vital complementary measure that saves lives. Furthermore, the opposition says arming teachers burdens educators or increases stress. We responded that participation is voluntary, supported by thorough training and psychological assessment. This is a serious responsibility, and the negating team has refused to respond to this. In conclusion, the opposition's fears, hypotheticals, and idealistic calls for long-term fixes do not outweigh our pragmatic, evidence-based, urgent solution. Arming teachers' responsibility is necessary to prevent students now and deters potential attackers and creates a safe school environment. And therefore, the affirmative team believes that we should arm teachers in the United States.
I would now like to invite the two teams to come to the floor and shake hands, and then give us some time to come to a result. Shake hands, shake hands. Shake hands. Okay.
You said affirming bad traffic saying
Probably we can't
Here we go. I think educator are ready to go.
Teal.
So, okay, you mean
Yes.
教育的skills. You know? Okay. Wow. Is it? Everything's okay, right? Sure.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It looks less full.
That's normal.
It's so tall. It's chilly. That's your
That's okay.
Oh, Lucas. Thank you. It was pretty tough.
We'd like to once again just thank everyone for the awesome debate. And then the way that this is going to go is I'll give you guys some general feedback for the debate, and then Lucas will give you the results and how we got to the result in his OA. So first on some general feedback, I think the first thing that's very important in this debate would have been to mechanize and impact a lot more. What this means is when you are giving your arguments, explain the reasons behind it, but also explain why it's important, because that way we're able to have a better picture of the way this point actually plays out and the importance it holds inside the debate. But also, secondly, I think it would have been really good if we were able to hear some illustrations of what this looks like. What I mean by this is maybe some speakers in their speeches could have detailed what it actually looks like when a shooter enters your school and what teachers are actually expected to do. Like, are teachers expected to try to shoot the shooter before they're able to do any harm, or is the teacher expected to like surround the students and stand outside the classroom guarding the door with their gun? Just stuff like that, which would have made the debate a bit clearer and also the impacts of the points you're trying to claim. But other than that, we thought it was a very close and high quality debate.
Okay. Without further ado, I think we'll just announce the results now. As Stuart said, this is a very close but clear debate. But ultimately, we gave the win to the affirming side. Congratulations to the affirming team. Congratulations to the negating team. I'll just hold this. So to run us through some of the points of clash of today's debate, there's really 3 points of clash of today's debate. The first one is on the safety of the classroom. Second one is on the role of the teacher, and third one is the cost of implementation. Now I think it's important to note that regardless of like who wins what point of clash, I do think what gave AF a little bit of the edge in today's debate is that they did a lot more impact than the next side. And what this meant was that I could actually see and like visualize what does African world look like? What does it look like when teachers have firearm? Whilst I'm not actually so sure of what the harms are that negating is claiming, right? I'll expand on this later onwards, but I just think it's impacting was a huge deficiency in the next side, which I think would have really helped your case tremendously, and which could have been done at like any speaker. So without further ado, I'll go into the points of clash. The first one on the safety of classrooms, and App gives a pretty clear response early on, which is that like having a gun means you have an immediate response, right? There's no delay time between the police coming and actual safety because teachers have the firearm, they can take action immediately. And whilst I'm not exactly sure like how exactly a teacher is going to stop a shooter, I at least know that the teacher is more equipped because they have a gun, right? And they do mention the idea of deterrence of the shooters. So even if shooters don't engage with the school, at least there's this like deterrence from like engaging because of the fact that they just have a gun in the first place, right? And I don't think this was challenged enough by Neg. I think what Neg could have done a bit more is explain to me like what exactly like a teacher can even do in these kind of situations, right? Like maybe talk about how teachers could be like 22 by the time they graduate like from university, from an education degree. They're very young people oftentimes, right? You often see student teachers in school, right? Who are in university and are not the kind of people that we expect to carry firearm, let alone be able to shoot it at someone when they enter the school, right? And so I think if Neg had given me a clearer role of what exactly a teacher looks like carrying a firearm, it might have been able to mitigate the idea that a classroom is more safe, right? Because if a teacher can't use a gun as after trying to say, then clearly it's not as safe. And in fact, you can claim your benefits that, well, if someone takes hold of a gun, then that's really bad, right? But because of AF's modeling, that it's somehow in some secure place, which again goes uncontested by Neg, I think at least I know that the gun is safe somewhere, even if the teacher can't use it, right? And that's another point, is that Neg could have done a bit more to contest like AF's model. Because AF's model, even though I could spot a lot of holes in it, it goes unchallenged the entire way through like the debate, right? No one actually goes, hang on a minute, App's model makes no sense, or App's model is wrong, or App's model could be better in this way. And so even if there are like loopholes in their model, it has to stand because that's how debates work, right? And so like the idea is that like what if the teacher shoots someone? Well, they're kind of like ideal model that like they all have training, that they all have passed some psychological test. Like all of this stuff like just has to stand because it doesn't really go contested. But this is like not really feasible. Besides the cost aspect of this. So in that case, I do believe that the classroom is more safe and that well, this point of clash goes to app. Second one is on the role of teacher. Now I think this point of clash was a lot more lacking than we thought. So like before the debate, me and Sirsa had a little plan of what we thought the debate would have looked like. Like if we had done the debate. And we focused a lot on the role of teacher. Like principally this was like one of the biggest things that we focused on, right? Is whether or not a teacher's role is to like just teach, or like how far does their like protection of the student actually extend to the point where they have to actively intervene in shooting versus just like passively keeping them in a safe place. And this was a huge contention from both sides, but I don't think this was developed at all from either side that much, right? All we really hear is that a teacher's job is to teach, and training takes away that time from teaching. Of course, I don't really actually know how much time is taken away. I don't really know if this is like 30 minutes a week, once a month kind of idea, which is that impacting idea. But at least I know it takes away from teaching, and advertising the teacher has a role of protection. And so both sides just arguing for opposite things, don't really engage much with each other and leave their points quite short. So I think in terms of the role of the teacher, it's kind of a toss up in the air. So I don't really think this point of clash is given to anyone because no one like engages that well with this point on this regard. Final on the cost of implementation, Neg just tells us the cost is too high, but I think AF does a really sufficient job explaining the cost of a life is more than the cost of the resources. Right? That protecting any student's life is worth spending like a lot of money training teachers and whatnot, because ultimately like everyone believes life is like the most important thing, right? It's kind of just given fact. Although we do hear some pushback that all this volunteering stuff and this like modeling is kind of impractical. I think this ultimately does kind of like not help you as much because if teachers aren't carrying the guns and aren't volunteering, that means a lot of the harms you claim about having guns doesn't exist anymore because they don't have guns if they're not volunteering. And so I don't really think this helps you at all because you're just basically saying the status quo. Instead, you have to explain like why their model is like too idealistic, right? And instead, like here's what it would look like, and here's why that has harms for this like in order to claim that volunteering is just too impractical. As a result, I gave this clash also to AF and also really the whole debate to AF. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. And I think we have personal feedback time.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we have time for personal feedback. You guys want any?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys want personal feedback?
We can each do a team.
Oh, wait, we can each do it.
Yeah. Give me a second. Are we again to give the so do the prize giving and then we can do
Oh yeah, sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tells to
Okay, so we're getting overall points, right?
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah. I know you guys won, so those teams won the semifinal, right? Or the round two, right? So you guys won the round three, but we're going to have overall points. So let's see. So we have prize here. That is for ticket prize. And it's sponsored by, which is proudly sponsored by Alicia Ayi. 他会用很多时间去买、去准备、去把它包起来。我真觉得是非常 appreciate。Beautiful, yeah. 大地府，差一点就 from This is prize for first time. Yeah.
Oh my god.
我可以选票，今天好吧？来，那下一个，哎呀，对，然后那个就是能给到东西啦，能到那个保鲜盒吧？保鲜是吧？Oh, yeah. Again, announce right now. Probably start with second place.
Wait, second place.
Oh, the third, right? You can explain why.
Why?
Yeah.
Why we can't do this?
No, the third.
Oh,
Third
okay.
place, yeah.
Okay. So in that case, we had Chloe Liu, Lisa Wei, and Adele Joe, who unfortunately can't be here with us today because they have just flown back to Auckland actually. I think they were competing in a robotics competition, which they did very well at. But unfortunately they couldn't be here, but they did win third place. And so for the result of first and second place, we will do second place first. So we are very proud to announce that second place goes to Sean Lee, Cecilia Chen, and Chloe Lowe.
Ooh. Yeah. Would you please stand up?
I'll stand up. Yeah.
And also, I'd like to welcome Alicia, presentation. Yeah, let's take a photo. Show me your certificate, please. And look at me. Close, a little bit closer, please. 3, 2, 1. Lovely.
Great. And so first place goes to Corbin,
Stand up.
thank you, Daniel,
Congratulations. Congratulations. Whoa. So you guys just share, okay, the prize is for the team.
Congratulations.
What did I do?
Okay, I'd say that's your
Yeah.
Oh, one. Okay. Let's take out.
yeah.
Hold
Sorry,
it.
you're out of the picture. You buy
3, 2, Daniel. 1. One more. Okay, wonderful. So can you have the picture?
Nathan. Always. So the last final thing left is to announce the best speaker of the senior division. And we are very happy to announce that the best speaker of the senior division for 2025 goes to Ray Yang.
Okay, 2024.
Stand up.
Who's here?
So not tough.
Congratulations, Ray. Once again, wow, it's not easy, am I? Congratulations.
I said the toll as well.
So 1, 2, 3. Oh, lovely.
You feeding these kids. Why are they so
Okay.
What are your marks?
Just like to say congratulations to everyone. You guys have all done so good. And you guys were all good today to support this, but I like to think that you guys have improved a bit because of the competition. Yeah, a huge thank you to Jessie once again for
So that's what.
Man, it's your parents. The parents.